So I'm listening to Fire and Blood, the history of Westeros. So the Targaryen family in Westeros, this is in the Game of Thrones series. Song of Fire and Ice is what the Game of Thrones on HBO is based off of. And this is kind of a prequel. It's kind of like, it's not really the Silmarillion of this universe. And the Silmarillion's kind of like the prehistory of Middle-earth that goes into Tolkien's books. But anyway, it's a pretty good book. And there's just different things that I've been thinking about while listening to it. And right now I'm listening to a part where a king kind of flies off. It's kind of giving some spoilers. I guess some spoilers. It's going to be spoilers. King Jaehaerys, I think it was Jaehaerys, he flies off with his younger sister because the parents were planning some kind of wedding for them, the people in power. They were planning, the younger girl, she was 10 and 3 years, which is 13, and he was, I think, 17 or something. They said there's 3 years difference. They were like 16. No. I think she's 14 and he was 17 at this time. But the sister finds out that the parents are planning a wedding for her, and they had picked somebody 10 years older than her. So that's a 23, 24-year-old. So first of all, that's pedophilia. Second of all, at least according to our estimation of this thing, is pedophilia. But people will listen to this book and be like, yeah, that's just the way things go. Because people have an understanding that this stuff was going on back then. And it's weird how in books you can still support characters that engage in such horrific things that, not horrific, but things that, they are horrific when you actually think about it, because there's even more, like the murders and all the things that go on. But I'm just talking about how these things happen in books and people still cheer on these characters, when rightfully so, in the real world, they consider these things to be horrible. But they have that. So he flies off, marries his sister, and again, this is a repeat thing of incest. And even in this world, in this reality of a Westeros, they have certain pious people of the faith, who would rise up against this, call the people bastards. But then, hey, they're kings, and this was the tradition in the Valyrian family. And one more thing, this is kind of going to be, I was talking to a friend of mine about what's going to happen in the upcoming Game of Thrones, because I had read all the books. I watched the first season of Game of Thrones, and I found out there were books, and I listened to all the audiobooks of it. So this is the first time I'm going to go into the season and not know what's happening in the future. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely avoiding all trailers, all spoilers. I don't understand. I guess some people still do that. Like, I read the books and then I didn't watch like season 3, and then I came back to season 4 and 5 because it differs a bit. And I know there's something where even if you know the story, even if it's like a scene for scene remake or a shot for shot from the book, it's still kind of entertaining to watch again in a different medium. But when it comes to something like this, I don't like it in the spoilers. So I'm going to hide all the spoilers, avoid spoilers of trailers and things like this. But with Daenerys, I think Daenerys is going to have a kid with Jon Snow because they both have Valyrian blood, and there may be something in that, but they've already shown that in this storyline they've had some people be able to give kids and have reproduction with Valyrians. Is it Valyrian blood? Well, anyway, this family, the Targaryens, they might have something about their dragon in them. The ability to talk to dragons and fly dragons could actually change their genetics. So their genetics don't necessarily completely work with just random people. Although there was a king earlier, Mahor or something, I already forget the names, lots of names. He married some woman from Pentosh, I think, and she was actually poisoning his wives. That's why his wives had these weird kind of, his kids from the other wives that he had deformations. One of them had like rudimentary wings. And when they talk about this rudimentary wings thing, that's why I'm kind of thinking there is something dragon-like about these folk that can actually ride the dragons. Well, anyway, so that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about in this situation. It's odd how incest, pedophilia, mass murder, just levels of just horribleness. Like even with someone like Daenerys, yeah, she's been through a lot, but she's also somebody who married a brother. She's killed all these people. She's done all these horrific things. Yet people are still like, yeah, we love Daenerys, the Queen of Dragons. Yeah, and they cheer these things. It's just something weird that happens And I know it's made up stuff, but this is based, it's historical fiction in a way. It's based off of history because these things did happen in history. A lot of people who are very proud about their history, oh, we're proud Europeans, or we're proud German, or we're proud this, or my family goes back years and years. I can trace my family back to like some lords back in like the Gaul days or something. Those people were involved in stuff like this. They were involved in mass murders, they were involved in a lot of incest. They were involved in situations where if you risked supporting somebody, when that person was overthrown, there's a good chance you were all getting killed. So to achieve those levels of power, it also carried some risk where it was like you're literally risking your life. Now you have people who are corrupt, who risk different things, like you hear all these different kind of things. Yeah, like the people, recent Hollywood scandal with the people trying to get their kids into school. This was happening back in the day in different ways. They're like, okay, we're going to try to maintain our family in a position of power. And if it fails, you get shamed. There might be jail time for some of these people, but it wasn't as much as risking your life. So a lot of people talk about how horrible the world is, how people have to go through these challenges and tests and risks, but that's always been a part of humanity. It's in our fiction, it's in our history, it's in our reality, and I think the levels of things you actually risk now and have to deal with are a lot lower than they have been in the near past, not even that long ago. It's recent enough for these things to be involved in our fiction and not just be considered just anybody doing it is horrific, because you can kind of understand that this was something that some people were doing. All right, goodbye. Thanks for listening. A question on these period pieces, or these kind of things where you go to another universe and you're kind of thinking in that kind of situation. Do you put yourself in the morality of somebody in that universe? Do you feel it's the responsibility of the author or the producer or the creator or the actors or whatever to have you have a suspension of disbelief? Or do you carry your own morality into that world when you're looking at these things? Do you think I'm just being kind of taking things too critically, over-analyzing things or whatnot? Anyway, I might do more of these. Leave a like, share, and subscribe, or just a comment below, and let me know if you kind of like these shorter videos where I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I intake a lot of other content where maybe when I'm actually still taking it, I can just give some comments on things that I've observed versus just waiting to the end to give an entire review of the thing. All right, let me know. Like, share, and subscribe. Links below to the merchandise store. Goodbye.